Hey everybody, and welcome to Let's Look at Legends of Eisenwald. This is a Steam Early Access, turn-based, tactical strategy RPG, if that makes sense. You can think of it as being a little Heroes of Might and Magic-y. You can think of it as being a little Fire Emblem, kind of, but not really. I've also heard it compared to some other games that are in this genre, but the genre doesn't really exist that much anymore. These are games that were big in the early to mid-90s, even through the late 90s and early 2000s, but just don't get made that much anymore. But if you're a fan of games like this one actually kind of took me by surprise. I mean, judging by the title screen and a lot of the UI, and I don't mean this to be offensive to the developers, but it lacks a little bit of polish right now. It kind of looks a little bit work in progress-y, and I was expecting the gameplay to be a little bit work in progress-y as well, but I've actually found myself enjoying myself a good deal with the game so far, and I've played about an hour of it so far. That's enough to get kind of my mind around the very basic concepts so I can explain it adequately to you here. One thing I really do not like is this selection screen where basically you have like this V, which I think is supposed to be a check mark, to say go, and this X to say no. It took me longer than I would like to admit to figure out what those actually denoted there. But in any case, we're going to play a little bit of the main campaign here. There are 2 campaigns that currently exist in the game, as I read on the Steam forums. That represents about 10 hours of gameplay, with about 30 hours of gameplay expected for the final release of the game that is coming later this year. We're going to play as Heinrich. He's a knight. We could also play as a baroness, who is a ranged hero, or we could play as a mystic, who is more of a mystic type. This kind of looks like a modern-day man, just has a weird hat on. This guy really fits the bill. So we're going to play as Heinrich and load into Legends of Eisenwald and play through the very earliest parts of the game. So there's a lot of dialogue that I'm not going to skip, but there's a lot of tool tips that I am going to skip because I think I can explain it a little bit more efficiently, if not as exhaustively, in my own words. So the road ahead is a fine change to the swamps you encountered. Berthold shifts the weight of his sword and turns to you. Seidlitz Castle, there will be a warm welcome and a mug of excellent beer there, I am sure. To direct your hero on the map, click where you want him to go with the left mouse button. Okay, so basically this is the interface that we are going to have to play this game. You move about the map in a very Heroes of Might and Magic-y type way, and you encounter things. You encounter towns, you encounter enemies, you encounter people that might be friends, you encounter kind of events, almost CK2-y style of events where you'll have choices, or not necessarily dialogue trees, but you'll have choice trees that will determine the outcome. But this is very much kind of like the tutorial island for Legends of Eisenwald, so there's not going to be too much kind of funky stuff that we're going to encounter here, and it's all going to be pretty self-explanatory. Like this guy up here, we're like, whoa, what's up with that, right? Let's go click on him. Berthold, your fidgeting is unnerving. This is clearly the right road. You said something similar in the swamps, and we spent hours there establishing the character relationship between Heinrich and Berthold, who I am now realizing after loading into the game for the second time are 2 different people. Anyway, we can check our map here, and I'm going to skip through an awful lot of this dialogue, but basically this is just going to explain how to look at our quest markers on the map and how to do other stuff with the map as well. So there we go. Alright, the game does a very good job of tutorialization, and this is something that a lot of early access games, they're like, we'll just put the tutorial in later. People will figure it out. And, you know, I get a lot of these strategy games or RPGs, and they're early access, and they just throw you in, and I'm like, I'm an idiot. Thank you, but please, work with me. I know I'm dumb. I need you to hold my hand and pull me into the game and teach me the mechanics. This game actually does a very good job of it. It's extremely text-heavy with its tutorialization, but it's borderline necessary to make it happen. So now we can see where all the quests are, and this arrow tells me where I need to go in order to complete that quest, and I should be able to turn it on and off, and that is a very helpful indicator of exactly where you need to go, because there is nothing more frustrating in any kind of game than just completely being, you know, bereft of knowledge about where to go. So first things first, we have to go to Seidlitz Castle. There will be a warm welcome for you, so let's close this out. First things first, though, we actually are going to get involved with some combat here. So we find a hunter. Good day to you. Oh, wait, this maybe is not combat. This might be a good thing. Good day to you, travelers. I come from Seidlitz to escort you to the castle. I know these woods well. These lands are not foreign to me, friend. I know the way to Klauslin's castle. Oh, I don't doubt you do, my lord, but there's been trouble in these woods. We ought to avoid the more notorious parts if you take my meaning. Alright, so now we get him, and we can take a little look at our army screen. So again, I'm just going to click through a lot of the text box here. I apologize for playing through what is basically the tutorial again, but again, it's kind of like with a puzzle game. I trust myself to be able to beat the tutorial and progress through it effectively. So what I would like to explain here quickly is that this is like the character and army screen, so we actually don't just command a character. When we actually get into combat, we command an army, and we can have an army right now of up to 5, 4, 3, what is that, 12 people. People at the very front, you want those to be like your melee heroes or your melee units that are heavily armored, especially. Like heavily armored, low range is what you want here. Then in your middle range, you want archers and pikemen, so melee people with huge range, or archers that obviously have a wide range as well. And then at the very back, also people with range, or people you want to protect like healers and clerics. But right now we only have, we have 2 knights basically. Sorry, I didn't mean to click on the actual character here. We'll get a whole... It's tutorials to a fault, if that makes sense. It's good tutorialization, but also at some point I'm just like, oh, get on with it. Anyway, so we have like 2 knight-type melee heroes here, and also an archer who will be extremely useful. Very easy to manage, only 3 people. Now, as we move forward just a little bit more, we will actually encounter an attack here. Welcome, visitors, to our fine forest and its benevolent lord, Red Bestel. Now, come along and we'll introduce you to the man himself, but if you don't choose to do so, things might not go well for you. Alright, so we are actually going to engage in some battle here. So, the way the battle works is that it's turn-based, and you can see on the left side here our turn order. This is based on the initiative stat of our units. So we have 3 units, they have 4, they have 3 kind of pitchfork peasants and a pikeman. We have like 2 knights here and an archer, so we should probably be okay. So first things first, we are moving with, I think this is Henrik, so we can choose who to attack. We'll do 29 damage to whoever we go to, so why don't we go for this guy in the middle. There's probably good reasons why not. But then next, our archer goes, and he's going to do a lot of damage. And finally, oh no, sorry, they're going to move first. Their archer's going to go first, I should say. Finally, we're going to get to move with our knight with the face mask here. I've forgotten what their names are. And then we'll basically rinse and repeat the whole process here over and over again so that we can actually complete this encounter. So you might think, oh, we're outnumbered, that's going to be bad for us. But obviously the stats on our units are very good, as this is just like our tutorial mission here, and if we died, that would be pretty goddamn disappointing. So, you don't actually like move them about the grid, you just kind of click on who you're going to attack, and that's kind of a nice thing, because it means that positioning is not really something you need to worry about. It's much more about just like who are you going to attack and what order are you going to attack in. This may become a little bit more strategic as we get further into the game, but for now it's very simple. So, again, a little bit of polish. That's what this game really needs right now, is polish. Things like the enemies completely defeated is, you know, not necessarily something that makes a whole lot of sense in the English language, but otherwise the screen is pretty easy to tell what's going on. We gained a little bit of experience, 8, 9, and 11, and we gained 40 gold as well. And there is actually like a management side to this game as well, which we'll see a little bit further as we get into the tutorial a little bit further. So basically this is going to teach us a little bit more about our inventory screen. At the bottom here, the number of castles indicates the number of castles we actually own. That'll go up before we finish this. And the 1 out of 6 is basically the number of men that we have right now that are supported by the castle. So these are men that we've like taken from a castle, basically. I think we're the only one right now. And then 2 is like 2 people helping us, but they're not formally necessarily aligned with our force. So the very first thing that we have to do, and again, the quest log is very good about teaching you this, go to Seedlitz Castle and there will be a warm welcome for you. So we'll just go up there, and that's going to be all the way over here. And all these towns and churches and abbeys and taverns and stuff like that, we'll be able to interact with those before we reach the end of this episode. So you're worried, right? Maybe this peasant's going to be combative, but he says, "Be well, your grace." Well, that's very nice of you. You be well too, you know? So let's make our way up to Seedlitz Castle up here. I don't think that Legends of Eisenwald is the greatest looking game I've ever seen, but I do think it actually looks pretty good. You know, it looks like a AAA game from 8 years ago, maybe. Wait, let me do the math. What's 8 years ago now? 2006? Yeah, it looks like a AAA PC strategy game from 8 years ago. I think that's a fair thing to say. Which is serviceable, I think. So, we can click on the castle, or right-click on the castle, and see who's in the garrison, but that's not really that valid right now, although it will be when it comes time to actually siege and take a castle ourselves. Baron Klauslin Seedlitz has not changed in many years. Perhaps a little gray has seeped into his hair and beard, but he retains the vigor and fierceness of the man you saw often in your father's company. Welcome, Sir Heinrich. It does my heart good to see you. If I'm not mistaken, I do not seem to recall your friend being at our last meeting. Thank you for the welcome, Baron Seedlitz. It's a pleasure to see you once again. Let me introduce you to Berthold, a loyal friend and comrade. He has saved me from the jaws of death more than a few times. I am just gonna go through the dialogue a little bit faster from now on. I hope there's no trouble along the way. We did encounter a little problem along the road. Bandits, Red Bestel, TLDR, there's a scourge in the town and we have to root him out. Okay, so we are inside of the castle now, and what we couldn't do inside of the castle is heal ourselves, usually at least. But let me check my quest log to see where we're going next. Okay, we have a new quest. Maybe it's telling me to go to the church because... Oh, is it? Oh, there it is. Yeah, probably go to St. Elena's Church and heal your troops in your army, then return to Seedlitz Castle. So this is just a tutorialization about how to heal. We can heal either at a church or an abbey or inside of a castle that we actually own, but I don't own any castles yet, so we're going to have to go to the church first off. Now, this isn't just, you know, walking and weird kind of chess-style combat simulator. There actually is a little bit of politicking and intrigue that goes on as well, and we'll see a brief glimpse of that very soon. In our very next quest, I think we will head to the Tavern, and we'll converse with some locals and gather some information about the town that we're in right now. So Heinrich says, we are in a church. There's always someone here who can treat our wounds. Ain't that the truth? There is always someone there to remind me. We can actually just click heal all here and bypass the tutorialization, and good to go. So that cost us a little bit of gold. As you can see, I have 974 gold, and I'm gaining 0 a day, but also losing 0 a day. We lose gold by hiring mercenaries, who obviously have like a daily salary that you have to pay them, a per diem, if you will. And we gain gold from owning castles and then basically taxing the surrounding land and maybe, I don't know, trading the goods from the surrounding lands. And again, this is all something we'll see as we get a little bit further and further along. But as it looks right now, you know, what you see is not what you get necessarily. This is very much a simplification of what is actually going to happen once we get a little bit further into Legends of Eisenwald. But first, we're going to go back to Seedlitz Castle. Guy looks like he's got to take a dump. I have given some thought to your situation, and it seems that perhaps you might be able to teach Red Best a lesson. Therefore, you can repay the wrong that was done to you while helping me. Baron Klauslin, if I can help in any way, I would be more than happy to do so. Glad to hear it. I'm sure you can teach him a lesson that I could never do because of my old age. He's looking pretty spry. I've seen artist depictions of Vikings that were that age. Plus, look at that armor. Who's going to pierce that? Anyway, first you need to gather a party to assist you. To start, hire a soldier. You can find one right here in my castle. Ain't that the truth? So we have hired this guy, and he will be a pikeman that we can kind of put in our front lines. Wonderful, but infantry and archers are not enough for battle. First of all, you'll need a healer, which you can find in the forest village. Secondly, a priest would not be such a bad idea. All right, so what they're basically doing is saying, like, you know, you got to build your arsenal up a little bit, build your garrison up a little bit. So we're going to start by going to St. Elena's Church, and we're going to buy or hire a cleric or a priest. And the priest is kind of like a paladin type character, if you imagine, from like an MMO or, you know, Diablo or something like that. Basically, what this will allow me to do is, yes, my prayers may defend us better than any shield. This will allow me to give my players buffs, or my soldiers buffs, whether improving their melee damage or improving their defense. And we'll go to the forest village, and at the forest village we'll be able to hire a healer. And basically a healer is just going to, you know, heal us, which is a good thing because we're going to take damage in every single battle that we get into. Your grace, if any of your people is wounded, I will help right away. I will apply a bandage or read an incantation, and my incantations are better than any medicine. Acceptable. Let me check out my quest log to see where I need to go. I've got to say, this is actually really, the quest log in this game is better than the quest log in the vast majority of strategy and or RPGs that I play, because I never get lost. And mind you, there's only like 7 or 8 places to go on the map, but that being said, it does a very good job if you find yourself wandering of being like, hey, just get back on the right track over here. So, you know, we can buy some goods. I'm not sure if... Oh, there are actually armors available here, which might not be the worst thing in the world to buy. There's potions as well. I'm not sure what we can do with the horses, but I'm going to buy one Damask sword. That's going to be something that I can equip on one of my characters. And I'm not sure how, like, the hat thing goes here, but maybe if we buy, like, a Pavis, that would be something that we can equip on our archer. And I could probably equip, like, Rusty Helm on one of... Oh, they're in my inventory. They're just over here. Okay. And what about... It's an amulet. I was kind of hoping it was a shield. Maybe we won't buy these just yet, because clearly that's out of my ability set right now. This is the first time I didn't just buy the sword. So I'll pop this open. Alright, again, I'm just going to skip through the tooltips here. Never you mind. It's actually pretty self-explanatory, but I'm glad they erred on the side of being a little bit too heavy on the tutorialize elements, because if it went too light, then I could easily find myself not understanding what's going on. So on this soldier, we will give him the Damask sword, and maybe we can give him a Rusty Helm. Oh, he already has a helmet. What we should do is go over to maybe this guy, and you don't have a helmet. We'll toss this one on you, and then on our archer, we'll try to give him the... Oh, he already has the Pavis. Who can use this? Maybe only crossbowmen can use the Pavis? Alright, I have bought an item that I can't use, unfortunately. That's all right, though. We don't need that gold necessarily right now anyway. So we've got everything that we need, I think. Let's check our quest log. Give Red Bestel a lesson. Where are we supposed to go now? I can't click on anything first. Find out in a tavern where Bestel is hiding. Okay, so this is what I mentioned earlier. We actually are going to go to a tavern. So let's go over here to the aptly named Cow and Spoon. You can buy cows and or spoons there, and or items that maybe combine both of them. So the Cow and Spoon is a tavern. And at the tavern, we'll be able to get some more quests. And this is kind of a cool element of the game because it adds a little bit of a social aspect as well as just the strategic and RPG aspect. So whenever we go to any kind of town or any kind of abbey or castle or keep, you get the idea. Usually we have a couple of tabs that we can go through. I think because this is still very early on, we only have one tab just to keep things simple. But, you know, oftentimes you'll walk into a town and it'll be like goods for sale, people you can hire for your military, stuff like that. Here we have encounters, so this is one such tab. And we basically just sit down with a beer and then we can look at these rumors, and these rumors will actually give us some quests. So let's start with Old Lighthouse. Yes, go. Did they find a new lighthouse keeper? Not yet. Maybe they won't find anyone this month. No surprise. Who wants to die early? That's the thing with the lighthouse, with a new keeper, or when a new keeper is there for 2 or 3 years, he's fine. Then he's no more. All died different deaths. One got sick and couldn't be cured. Another drowned, probably drunk, and another disappeared completely. I think it's the Keston Cows boys conspiring against Seedlitz. When there's no light, ships cannot make land, so they bypass Seedlitz lands. Interesting, right? That might give us a new quest. What about Ewalt the Wise? Do you remember next to Seedlitz lived old Ewalt? He was a wise man, and many people, both simple and noble, came to him for such advice. Many things were told about him. It was said that he knew some witchcraft and other such things which people are not supposed to know. They say he cheated death itself, and he lives in his tomb like in his house, and sometimes he speaks to visitors, and if anyone dares to enter his crypt at night, Ewalt will tell them in detail about his future. The people say many things of old Ewalt. He was a learned man, but he didn't respect God. Take my word, it is better to not go to his crypt. So that gives us another quest that we can do. What about Filraz? Did you hear in the forest in the west people saw Filraz? Filraz, how could you have not heard of him? He's like an animal, huge and eats like a pack of wolves. His body's like a bear, paws like a dog, and head like a cat, but much, much bigger. Anyway, I'm skipping through a lot of this stuff, but that's okay. We're just going to basically go through this because we've already gotten the quests that are relevant here. Okay, good. So that guy gave us another quest there, basically to find some extra treasure. Let me check out our quest log ever so briefly. I don't need to select the entries tab game, that's okay. So you've learned that Bestel's gang, Freudian slip there, is hiding in the forest on the west. Go there and find him. That is what we will do. So we can actually see, if we turn on text descriptors on the map, you can actually see exactly where we're supposed to go. So Red Bestel's gang is down here in the bottom left forest. Again, this map could use a little bit of polish, and I wish there was a way to open it while you were on this screen, so you could actually see where you're going, but unfortunately there isn't. Now this is, we're about to encounter the most frustrating aspect of the game that I have seen thus far, and that's, you know, Red Bestel, he's hiding out in the forest here. The way to get to him is not listed on any map, so basically we are just gonna walk up here into the forest, and some things we can click on, some things we can't, so I don't know what the pathing is. Basically, I just click until I actually find that my character is able to move in a direction. Oh, there's something over here. Is able to move into a direction. This might not seem that frustrating, but it did take me like 5 or 6 minutes the first time I did it just to figure out where the heck I am supposed to go. Because look, my guy's just like hidden in the trees right now. I'm pretty sure this is where we're supposed to be on the map if I look. No, maybe we're a little bit behind it. I'm just... Yeah, oh, there we go. We got some more space. Okay. Maybe we're supposed to be over here, actually. Please, RNGesus, don't fail me now. Well, we can always get out of the forest. It's getting in that's the tough part. So, you know, you can tell by our coat of arms, like, where we are. Oh, I hate this part. Like, this, I really just wish that they had put maybe, like, a hideout on the map, and maybe we had to learn a password to fight him. Like, at the tavern, we overheard, like, oh, the password is Dingle-Dong, and then you walk up, and the guy's like, what's the password? And you have a bunch of options, and if you say the wrong one, then you just, like, take damage or something like that. Instead, we are tasked with kind of working our way through the pines here in a way that is particularly frustrating. This might actually do it. I just want to look at the map for a second. It's actually, like, down below us. but I don't know how to get there. Oh, maybe I've stopped in the woods. Oh, please. Have mercy. Like, this is just the one baffling part. And believe me, it took me a lot longer, because at first, you know, when you're just clicking, like, randomly into this area, I was like, I don't think you can go into the forest. So I just got really lucky and looked at the map and was like, well, they probably wouldn't put something there if you couldn't actually go there. And eventually I found the right path, but it took longer than I'd like to admit. Now, it's possible we maybe need to go down here through this area first, but I'm not totally sure. One thing that is a blessing here is that we can speed up the process of time, or the progress of time. As of right now, time is fairly meaningless to us, but it means something once you start paying people. If I look on the map more closely, is there like a... There's not even really like a path listed on the map that makes sense. This is what I mean where I said it would be awesome if I could actually like bring the map up. What's this? Oh, I think I saw like a dude there, maybe leading me a little bit into the woods. But yeah, if there was... Oh, there we go. If there was a way to like bring up the map in the top left corner so I could see where I was in relation to where I'm supposed to be, that would be great. Anyway, Red Bestel. Well, you finally accepted my invitation. Defeating a few men must seem like such a victory to you, but you were a fool to come here. Sure, why not? Let's prepare for battle. So this should be the hardest battle that we've had so far, of the one that we've had so far. But now we've got clerics and a healer as well, and usually the cleric has the highest initiative cost. So he has some, or initiative value, I should say, so he usually goes first. 2 abilities. Shield of Faith increases a friendly unit's willpower by 6 and adds his total willpower to his melee defense. Willpower is a stat. This effect lasts 2 turns and costs 15 mana. Or, Blessing increases a friendly unit's willpower by 6 and adds his total willpower to his melee damage. This lasts for 3 turns. So do we want extra defense or extra damage? Obviously, extra damage. And we'll put this on our helmeted knight here, and then throw him out here. And he's doing 32 damage per hit now. That's very good. And we'll have you basically do the same thing. And hopefully we can get this Axeman killed before he has a chance to do some damage. Good, we've taken him out. I will say that so far, I mean, keep in mind this is the tutorial, but the combat has been very, very easy so far. We have a healer, so I'm going to use that healer. Basically, their ability is heal or wait and get more mana. So we're going to heal up the unit that took damage, as one might expect. It's been, let's give ourselves some extra defense here on this guy. It's been really easy so far. And again, we're early on in the game, so that's not necessarily to be something to turn up your nose at. But I will say that I have not even come close to having like any problems in any of these fights. Even though this guy's dead, we can actually bring him back from the dead. We can't heal him right now. Might as well heal this, or might as well just wait on this turn. We can't bring him back from the dead yet, but after the battle, we'll be able to bring him back. Should probably just like hone in on this archer, but that's okay. We'll just take out this helmeted like army man first. I don't actually know the industry term, so I apologize for that. He's been healed, but he'll be killed again, never fear. So why don't we heal this guy, and you can just wait a turn to get more mana, cleric, and basically, you know, if you're not familiar with what's going on here, I'm pretty much just clicking through the enemies, and it's making it relatively easy to succeed. Usually, when you kill all of the units but the healer, the enemy will surrender. So let's stop this, and why don't I give you Blessing so you do more damage. Yeah, so after I kill this guy, the healer should just surrender. It sucks that we don't actually get the healer for ourselves, but at least we don't have to slaughter this poor defenseless lady. And we picked up some stuff in the process as well, which is great, including 120 gold. All right, so Berthold has a knife to Bestel's throat. This is the first kind of miniature quest. Perhaps my comments are made in haste. Sure, 1 second. Your friend is quite wise. I was under the orders of Lord Kutzenkautz, a neighbor to your friend Baron Seidlitz. All right, so basically, we have to go and then take our fight to the Kuzelkautzes. But first, why don't we give ourselves some extra weapons? You can have a recurve bow, and you already have arrows, but I guess I'll give you some more arrows. Sure, it works. What else did we pick up there? Padded jacket might not be the worst thing on our archer. There you go. A leather brigandine. Is anybody else wearing, like, anything? You seem to have, like, a suit of armor on, so I don't really want to take that away from you. This guy, leather brigandine, or... sure, whatever. Can he wear the pavis? He cannot, okay. This is okay. What else do we have? Charmed ring and bear claw. Maybe we can give this bear claw to That guy and Charm. Why don't I give him the Charmed Ring as well? He'll be really buffed up. And that's all we have here. Okay, so what I'm going to do, our next quest is going to be to go back to the castle. I'm going to speed up time, like, really highly here so we can get back during the daytime. Obviously, it's, like, dawn right now. Let's heal ourselves all up. And then head back to the castle. And we'll introduce a new element to the game. Or not to the game, obviously, but to the video here. A new element of the game when it comes to sieging castles. So, I'm going to skip through a lot of this dialogue. Basically, what he told me there is we can go... Well, I can just check my quest log. We can go and try to siege Kutsin Cows. But first, we need to get a few more soldiers. And I forget where we pick up those soldiers, but let me check something out. We need 8 soldiers, and we only have 6 right now, I think, or 7. Okay, so first you need several mercenaries, so you have at least 8 soldiers. Okay, we can do that. So I think I go back to the Cow and Spoon, actually, and we should be able to hire some mercenaries there. Good, hiring. There's our second tab. So we'll hire another knight or pikeman type dude, and we'll hire another archer. This guy's actually a crossbowman as well. Beautiful. So now you can see we actually are losing money on a day-to-day basis because we have mercenaries. And our next quest, and I apologize for going quickly here, but otherwise the video could easily end up being, you know, an hour long. This is, by the way, why you might not want to have time on 4x all the time, like time speed on 4x or game speed on 4x, because you'll end up losing money to these mercenaries. But anyway, so now this is kind of a cool strategic element here. We actually will put it on 4x here for this reason. But cool strategic element. We have to wait for like the enemies to leave their castle, and then we'll hit play because time's paused right now. And now that they've left their castle, we'll pause time again and take ourselves back to 1x, or you know, that's pretty slow, maybe 2x. Now we can go siege their castle, and they're gone, so we should have a much better chance of success. So this is how sieging works. You know, it looks pretty familiar to how other things have worked so far. But that's okay. I didn't want to up his melee defense. I actually wanted to up his melee attack, but that's my bad. Alright, so let's start taking out these pikemen, and this will give us control of the castle, and once we have control of the castle, we can start earning an income from it, which is another kind of cool management aspect of the game that might not be apparent at first glance, at least. So we'll just take out the front lines here. Notice that our soldier that died earlier is now returned to us, which is good news because, you know, obviously the more soldiers you have, the more board control you have, and the easier your life is going to be. We are tearing these enemies up pretty easily here. Let's switch to Blessing, and we'll bless this guy. And, oh, they're trying to run away now. But I don't think they're going to make it. So we're doing 37 damage per hit with him, 28 damage per hit with him. You probably want to surrender, dude. Yeah, I guess sometimes when there's only one person left, they surrender regardless. And we earned some new equipment. I'm not going to bother putting it on, but that's okay. Bodies later in the castle courtyard. Berthold approaches you with his sword bloodied from the battle. A fine battle indeed. Now that we have the castle, we shouldn't risk leaving. So basically, we have done an elaborate ruse here. Yeah, we'll heal up. We've done an elaborate ruse here where we'll just wait for the Kutsin Kauses to come back, and then we'll fight them from inside of their own castle, and then it will belong to us. So here we go. Preparation of armies for battle. So start with blessing. We're going to bless the dude who has the best attack. And then we're just going to cut these guys up, and it's probably going to go largely the same way you've seen it go so far. We've already killed one, in fact, which is very lucky and unusual. That is 2 down, and if our crossbowman goes again soon, we actually are just, like, tearing them up pretty nastily. I'm surprised they haven't surrendered already, in all honesty, due to how lopsided this is. So, we can heal. Yeah, we might as well heal this dude up. But I doubt they have much chance of success at all here. This guy's gonna kind of get pooped on, I think, a little bit. That being us, but just because, like, this is like a big soldier, I think, and ours is kind of weak right now, but should still be pretty easy to take him out. So we'll, again, buff up this guy's melee attack, I suppose, and we'll just throw in some ranged attacks here. We could be a total dick and attack the healer first, but I don't think that's really what we need to do. But man, this guy's actually proving to be... Oh, we have to, actually. I literally need to. Jaime Lannister here wasn't content to just be okay. Let's heal this person. Instead, we had to kill the women and children. And also the men. Good. The enemy's completely defeated. We get some stuff here, including some armor that might benefit us a little bit in the long run. So, in any case, this basically is the end of the tutorial. I'm going to slow down and maybe even pause time. But you can see, remember earlier we were losing 390 gold per day because of our mercenaries that we have. Now we're only losing 353 a day, so we also get into some gold management with our castle. If we got rid of our mercenaries, that means we should be making 47 gold a day. That's going to do it for my Let's Look at of Legends of Eisenwald. Overall impressions, quite strong actually. It's early access, it has early access problems. There's typos, and sometimes those typos can be meaningful because it makes communication a little trickier, and if they're communicating an objective, I have found myself sometimes struggling to figure out what to do. But then the quest log is also very good about pretty literally saying, hey dummy, go here, and sometimes they even put like a big F me arrow on the map for it. Which is good. The combat seems like it could have a lot of strategic depth. The only caveat I would add right now is that it's a little boring so far because it's been so easy, but this is the tutorial, and the tutorial's long, so like an hour of gameplay, you know, is roughly what I have just played here. There's another campaign, by the way, listed in the game, and I saw on the Steam forums people saying it's about 10 hours long to beat both campaigns, and the developer said they want it to be 30 hours long when the game actually comes out. And this is not meant to be like an early access, should you buy games in early access or shouldn't you? If you like what you see, I would encourage you to not feel too wary about picking it up. That being said, of course, everything is in flux. Promises are promises, and words don't always end up with their intended result afterwards. Or I should say promises don't always end up with their intended result. That being said, as it stands right now, Legends of Eisenwald seems to have a lot of promise. It's 15 bucks available right now on Steam. And if you are a fan of a lot of those games that I mentioned earlier, like Heroes of Might and Magic in particular is the one that I'm most familiar with, you might want to consider picking this up. They don't make too many games like this anymore, and this one, don't let appearances deceive you. Looks a little bit busted at first glance, is actually quite a lot of fun, I think. In any case, that's my impression so far. If you want to pick up the game, there will be a link in the video description below to pick it up on Steam. Hey, this island over here totally looks like a whale. In any case, if you enjoyed the video, make sure to click the like button. It does help out a great deal, and your support means the world to me. And of course, subscribe if you want to see more first impressions in the future. As always, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.